By 2030, an estimated 100 million people will be using Web3 applications daily, and most of them will not even know it. That is not a prediction from some fringe tech blog. That is a projection from some of the most respected research institutions in the world. And here is the part that should stop you in your tracks. The last time the internet went through a shift this large, it created more millionaires in a single decade than any other event in human history. Right now, you are either positioned to understand what is happening, or you are going to watch it happen to someone else. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to learn exactly what Web3 is, where it came from, why it matters more than almost anything else happening in technology today, and this is the part most people completely miss, why the biggest winners of the Web3 era might not be the ones building the technology at all. There is a counterintuitive insight coming later in this video that genuinely changed how some of the smartest investors in Silicon Valley think about this space. Stay with me. To understand Web3, you have to start at the beginning. Not the blockchain beginning, the internet beginning. When the internet first launched as a public network in the early 1990s, it was what we now call Web 1. Think of it as the read-only internet. You could visit a website and consume information. Static pages, no interaction, no personalization. You were a passive observer. The internet was a library, and you could look at the books but you could not write in them. Then came Web 2, and everything changed. Suddenly, the internet became participatory. You could create content. You could post, comment, share, upload videos, build a following. Platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google exploded in value because they figured out something extraordinarily powerful. If you give people a place to create, they will generate enormous amounts of content. And that content attracts attention. And attention attracts advertisers. And advertisers pay billions of dollars. Web 2 turned users into the product without most of them ever realizing it. Here is a number that illustrates this perfectly. Meta, the company behind Facebook and Instagram, generated over $116 billion in revenue in 2023. Almost all of it came from advertising. The content creators, the people who actually made those platforms worth visiting, received $0 from that advertising revenue. They generated the value. Someone else captured it. That is the fundamental problem Web3 is designed to solve. Web3 is the next evolution of the internet built on blockchain technology. At its core, it is about shifting ownership, control, and value away from centralized corporations and returning it to individual users. Where Web 2 was read and write, Web 3 adds a third dimension, ownership. You do not just consume content. You do not just create content. You actually own a piece of the network itself. This is made possible through a few core technologies. The most important is the blockchain, a decentralized ledger that records transactions and data across thousands of computers simultaneously, with no single point of control. When you own something on a blockchain, that ownership is recorded in a way that no company, no government, and no single entity can erase or alter. It is trustless, meaning you do not need to trust any institution. The math and the code enforce the rules. Smart contracts take this a step further. These are self-executing programs stored on the blockchain that automatically carry out agreements when predetermined conditions are met. Imagine a record label deal where the artist automatically receives 70% of every sale the moment it happens, with no middleman, no delayed payments, no dispute over royalties. The contract simply executes. This is not science fiction, this is happening right now on platforms like Ethereum, Solana, and Avalanche. But here is what nobody talks about when they explain Web3. The technology itself is almost secondary. The real revolution is about incentive structures. For the first time in the history of the internet, the people who contribute value to a network can be directly rewarded for that contribution through tokens, governance rights, and ownership stakes. This is called the token economy, and it fundamentally changes what it means to participate online. Decentralized finance, or DeFi, is one of the most powerful demonstrations of what Web3 makes possible. In 2020, the total value locked in DeFi protocols was around $700 million. By early 2022, that number had exploded to over $180 billion. Now think about what DeFi actually does. It replicates financial services, lending, borrowing, earning interest, trading, without banks, without brokers, without gatekeepers. A farmer in rural Kenya can access the same financial tools as a hedge fund manager in Manhattan. No credit score required. No branch visit required. Just a smartphone and a crypto wallet. Non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, generated enormous media attention and enormous misunderstanding. Most people remember the headlines about cartoon monkeys selling for millions of dollars. But underneath the hype was something genuinely important, a mechanism for proving digital ownership and enabling creators to earn royalties forever. When an NFT is sold on the secondary market, the original creator can automatically receive a percentage of every future transaction. No publisher. No agent. No platform taking 30%. The creator captures the value they generate. Decentralized autonomous organizations, known as DAOs, are transforming how communities govern themselves and pool resources. A DAO is essentially a company run by code and collective vote rather than by executives and shareholders. Constitution DAO raised $47 million in a matter of days from thousands of anonymous contributors to try to purchase an original copy of the United States Constitution. It failed at auction, but it demonstrated something that had never been done before: complete strangers coordinating enormous financial resources instantly and transparently, with no central authority. Now here is where the deep dive gets interesting. The biggest misconception about Web3 is that it is purely about speculation and financial gain. Critics love to point at collapsed tokens and failed projects as evidence that the whole thing is a scam. And yes, there have been spectacular failures. The FTX collapse destroyed billions in value. Luna wiped out an estimated $40 billion in a matter of days. These are real catastrophes that harmed real people, and they cannot be minimized. But every transformative technology in history went through an era of irrational exuberance followed by a brutal correction and then foundational adoption. The dot-com crash of 2000 wiped out trillions in market value. Amazon lost 90% of its stock price. And then it became one of the most valuable companies on earth. The infrastructure being built during Web3's turbulent years, the wallets, the protocols, the developer tools, the identity systems, that infrastructure is not going anywhere. Consider what is happening beyond the speculation. The gaming industry, worth over $200 billion globally, is being transformed by Web3 mechanics that allow players to truly own in-game assets and trade them freely. Supply chain management is using blockchain to create transparent records that reduce fraud and counterfeiting, with companies like Walmart already tracking food provenance on a blockchain to respond to contamination events in seconds rather than days. Digital identity is perhaps the most underappreciated application of all. Today your identity online is fragmented across dozens of platforms, each owning a piece of your data. Web3 self-sovereign identity systems give you a single, portable, cryptographically secured identity that you control completely. You share only what you choose to share. You revoke access at any time. No more data breaches from companies storing passwords you forgot you created. The analysis here is straightforward even if the implications are enormous. Web3 is not a single product or platform. It is a paradigm shift in who controls the infrastructure of digital life. It is messy right now. It is technically complex. The user experience is genuinely terrible in many cases, and that is a real barrier to mass adoption. But the underlying question, should a handful of corporations own and monetize the digital identities and creative output of billions of people, is a question that is not going away. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Block Vault Daily for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.